Hey, Jimmy Jazz here. I thought I'd do a little lesson, music lesson for fans and folks out there. Uh, Everybody's cooped up, so maybe we need to spend a little time with our instrument today, learn something new. I noticed that Jeffrey and Garrett have posted some lessons. They're doing specific G-Love and Special Sauce songs. I'd be happy to do that. Leave some suggestions in the comments of any of the bass lines you want me to show for our songs or grooves. But today I'd like to go over some basic principles and show you a harmonic practicing technique that's great for any kind of stringed instrument. So, I mean, it's especially good for the acoustic or electric bass, but it's also good for acoustic guitar, electric guitar. Maybe you got a cello laying around your house that you've been meaning to figure out how to play. This will help us start to understand the overtones of each string and how that relates to the fretting and how the fingerings that we do on the instrument. Now, music is a lifelong study here, and I'm mostly self-taught, but I studied when I came up to Oregon with a really fabulous bassist named Glen Moore, who lived in the area. I don't think he lives here anymore. I think he lives down in Arizona. But it's a really great experience. You could find some of Glen Moore's playing with the great Sheila Jordan, vocalist, and also his group, of which he's a founding member, with Ralph Towner. His group is called Oregon, and it's kind of avant-garde chamber jazz in a way. Check it out. It might be something interesting to listen to. But when I was studying with him, I realized, everybody has their own, really what you're looking for is to get your own theories and your own ideas about how we connect the sounds in the environment and how we make those sounds and how that connects to, our brains and our minds and the brains and minds of others. So, Glenn taught me a bunch of good stuff, but one of the most important things is you got to take care of your body, and in relation to the instrument, you're definitely going to want to warm up, stretch out. One time I studied with an African percussionist, and we would always warm up our hands with this just gentle bouncing around just to warm up the wrists and just make sure everything's all flexing like this. And I always warmed up my hands with just a gentle flop like that. And you want to stretch, always want to be very gentle with your movement. I used to do Qigong with Glenn. We did Qigong movements in the shoulders, and it's good to keep your shoulders open. One great exercise, I'll just show you real quick, is to you just stand normally, and then you put your fingers all together. You put them right in this little bit that's your lung one position in your elbow, and you just bring your elbow up around like this, the other one, and that really helps to open up your shoulders without putting too much stress on your on the actual joints, because your elbow's retracted. So make sure you're warmed up and loose before you come to your instrument. And then when you are on your instrument, no matter what kind of playing you're doing, you always want the angles of all your joints to be very gentle. And you can see this grip here that is a generalized grip for the bass. And you see there's never like this. It's never a sharp angle. You never want to do that. That's gonna cause problems after a while. So all your joints are pretty loose, and that'll give you the best range of motion and freedom of movement with your instrument. Now, one thing that's important for bass players and stringed instruments of all kinds is to hold your instrument correctly, mainly, especially for the bass, because you want the instrument to hold up by itself with your left hand free. You don't want to have to use your left hand to hold the instrument, and that's too much work. You don't want to have to do that and at the same time. So I do the striker technique, which you can study if you're serious about the upright, but really you just want to hold on to your instrument with your body so that you don't really have to worry about the neck, and your hand is free to play. And indeed, on the upright, you can't really go up the neck at all unless you got that technique. Let's take a look on the. We'll take a look at the same concept here with the electric bass. You probably have a strap on or a knee. But see, I'm holding the instrument here with the right hand and it's on my knee. And then my left hand, nice and loose. Your hand's always in this position. So your thumb's like directly behind your fingers like that. Ideally, it's never always like that, but that's your ideal position. And that keeps everything soft and loose. You don't want to get tendonitis, anything like that. So, this technique I'm going to show you is it's a technique that Glen worked out. You could probably look him up and take a lesson with him. I don't know if he's still teaching, but what it is taking this gentle idea to an extreme and just being very gentle. And so we're hitting the strings, but we're not fretting the strings. We're not playing down on the frets. We're just hitting it oh so gently. You look from this side, and so my finger would just touch it, and it's right above where the fret is. If you were to finger it, you'd probably finger it back there or something, right? But now we're just gonna touch it gently, right above the fret, where the fret is. And so for each string, we're going to go up one finger at a time, and we're going to start. I like to start with the pinky because that one probably needs the most work. And we're going to play a harmonic note, which is best played if you hit it way back by the bridge. And this is what Jaco Pastorius was a genius of doing, and could play incredible chords. But you'll see as you go up on the frets, different ones have different amount of overtones. So this here, as we know, you'll see a marking on the fingerboard of your electric instruments. This one even has a double. You can see that double dot there. That's the octave, right? So that's the same note. If this note is G, then at the octave, it's also a G. And then we can see that this is the mode of all vibrating strings. And if we look in here's a whole book on harmonics that I checked out back in the day. But you can see here, if you can imagine how these strings, they resonate, not just the whole string, but indeed half the string, 1/3 of the string, quarter, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and we call those harmonics or overtones, and we utilize them for artistic effect, but also to bring out those notes in the on the instrument. And on the bass, we have the bass out. It's best to try this exercise with the bow. And here I'll be saying the note. Since we don't have frets to see it, we'll be saying the note and get on there. And see, I'm bowing way down at the bottom. Way down at the bottom by the bridge. You see, I'm bowing right down here. See how I'm bowing right next to the bridge with the 1 inch. The same as if you're playing pizzicato, you'd want to pluck right there as well. And then you can see the left hand is going up here. So we do an open one, and then the first note, open one is G. The first note would be G sharp, right? At roughly where the first fret would be. And then the next one is A, and this is the first one that comes out really okay. The first one is just a mess here. And then this is the A. Let's see if I have that right. Right? You hear that? It's a couple octaves up above it, but it's a couple there. You hear them all? There's the A, then the A sharp. Bouncing around. Then there's B natural. And then over what would be the 5th fret, you got the 4th octave. It's an octave of G, but it's also related to C. The next one up is a toughie. That's in the middle of the space. And there's the 3rd octave, or the 5th note of the scale. The numerology gets quite complicated. But basically, we're just going to go over each note that you would finger. We're going to play them as harmonics. That's the exercise. Let's go up 2 octaves on the G string just to practice it, and we're going to say the notes as we go up. Okay? I'm going to tip down just a little so you can see my fingerings here. Okay, I'm going to alternate fingers, but really, back when I did it with Glen, we would do each note up and down every string with each finger, and then combinations. It was crazy. But I'm just going to do all pinky, okay? So here we go. G, sharp, A, sharp, B, C, sharp, D, sharp, E, F, sharp, G. That's our octave. G, sharp, A, sharp, B, C sharp, D. So D's a big one. That's the fifth, right? D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, something like that. So that's from our octave. So that's how we practice harmonics. That's how we warm up the harmonics on the instrument. And you could do it pizzicato as well. And I think the main idea is just to figure out these big ones. If you're especially just starting out with a stringed instrument, learn where your octave is. And how to play it. On your upright bass, you want to put the thumb right back there, and your pinky is right at the octave. Learn where the third harmonic is, which is the fifth note of the scale. So on our G string, it would be here, that's above the 7th fret for your electric players, and that note is D. Fourth octave would be over the 5th fret. And that's 2 octaves above the G. Is there another dog there, Bumpy? You got another dog coming by. That's very upsetting these days. Anyhow, I encourage you to explore the octaves on your instrument. This works on the harmonics on your instrument. This works on guitar, bass, any kind of stringed instrument, even if you got the washtub bass. It's a little more tricky on that instrument, but as always, shoot me an email if you have questions, or if you want to engage in a private lesson over Skype or whatever, and take this time just to explore the harmonics and those overtones. It's pretty deep. It's a pretty deep study, and if you got the electric bass, check out a record by Jaco Pastorius, anyone, and you'll hear a really musical use of that technique. All right, thanks for watching. Shoot me an email. I appreciate all the comments, and keep jamming.